Hey listeners, it's Katie, and welcome to a special edition of Generation Between. This is our first Clips episode. We've recorded 50 episodes and counting, and we wanted to flash back to a few of our favorite moments so far, starting with the opening of our very first episode. Enjoy! Has anyone ever made you want to throw your pager out the window, tell MCI to cut the phone pole, break your lease so you could move? Well, if you relate to the first two things in those lyrics, you might be a Xennial. Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm Danny.
And you're listening to Generation in Between, a Xennial podcast. And today we're talking about the once mighty pager, or beeper if you prefer. But before we get into that, let's talk a little more about this podcast and the term Xennial, which I have to admit, Danny, before I asked Google to pronounce that for me, which is a totally Xennial thing to do, by the way, I always said Xennial, and hopefully some of the listeners also do that. Hopefully I'm not the only person on the planet that did that. But can you tell us a little more about what that even means?
I can. So your mispronunciation is actually on point because a Xennial is technically the generation that is sandwiched in between Gen X and millennial. Okay. So your pronunciation error makes complete sense, Katie. So Gen X is 1965 to 1980. Millennial is 1981 to 1986. So a Xennial is 1977 to 1983. These are all birth years, PS, by the way. So we were born a little too late to kind of identify with Gen X, but we were born a little too early to identify with those millennials. I've seen it described as we had a analog childhood with a digital adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so perfect.
I know, right?
Yeah, so putting X in there sort of makes sense since we have our Gen X friends right before us and our millennial friends right after us. I like calling myself an Xennial or a Xennial more than saying an elder millennial, which I have said before.
Feels very wrong.
It doesn't feel right. So, so let's tell our listeners just a little bit more of like where we sit in that Xennial span, starting with you and your birth year.
All right. So I was born in November of 1980. So I guess I'm kind of right in the middle of that Xennial time frame there. 1980, here's some key points. Pac-Man was released in the arcades. Remember those? It was the highest earning arcade game of all times.
Wow.
Which I already knew that because my husband is a retro video game collector. So Iraq invades Iran, initiated the Iraq-Iran War. John Lennon was shot. And Mount St. Helens erupts, killing approximately 57 people.
Wow. Kind of a historic year for a lot of different reasons. You hit on a lot of things there. Well, I was born in May of 1982, and that is also the same year that the compact disc, or the CD, was introduced. Steven Spielberg released E.T., which became the highest grossing film of the decade. Good year for releases because Michael Jackson's album Thriller became the best-selling album of all time.
Nice.
And also, apparently, the Falklands War started, but I don't actually know what that is.
Where was that?
In the Falklands? Is that a place? I don't know. Someone help.
Makes you sound smart, though.
Exactly. And neither of us was born in 1981, but when I was researching these points, I just thought I would touch on that, too, because that was kind of a big year. Princess Diana and Charles met. Space Shuttle Columbia launched successfully, and also the first reported case of AIDS happened in the U.S., which is definitely something Xennials grow up knowing about, and something we're definitely going to talk about on this podcast on a different episode. So that's just a little bit more about us and our time frame.
Hi, guys. This is Danny, and the next clip is a fan favorite as well as one of our favorites. It was from our Kandy taste testing episode. Things got a little kooky, I guess. So enjoy our infamous Kandy anklet clip.
Candy necklaces.
Oh,
which
yes.
can be extended to candy bracelets, of course. Did you ever wear the candy bracelets as anklets? You can't eat them that way.
I guess that's a no. Choke on my Starburst cocktail here. Oh, no.
I guess you would do that if you didn't want to eat it. But then would you ever eat it? Because now that I'm thinking about it, that close to the ground.
All right, guys, just like Men in Black that. I didn't say anything about candy anklets. All right, moving on.
Or give it a try this weekend. Who knows?
Give it a try. Let us know.
Unless you're a Xennial like us, because then your leg will probably cramp up.
You'll have no circulation. Please don't. Okay, so this was kind of weird because I went to maybe 5 or 6 sources looking up the history of it. And for some reason, candy necklaces have this mysterious start. Weird.
Nobody wants to take credit for this travesty.
Has claimed inventing them.
They're like, I'm not taking credit for that's weird.
A few sources said maybe somewhere in Northern Europe. It's like no one knows the answer to this. What's going on? So,
oh my goodness.
But they did get popular in Europe first. And then they hit the worldwide scene in the late 1950s. They're still pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
You can get them just about anywhere. But the idea of wearing candy around kids' wrists and necks or ankles is not as popular as it once was because, it's not the most sanitary
It's so
thing.
disgusting. It's
You're
so
sweating
gross.
And then it the colors when you start sweating, they come off on your skin.
Well, and you would bite a piece off and then put it back on your neck and then, move it, and then it'd be all wet.
Saliva and then just biting them off the string. I know. And then but I did bring some and I feel like these, from what I remember, these kind of taste like sweet tarts.
Like sweet tarty.
So
now,
we each have one.
What I remember with these, Katie, when rave culture was big in the 90s, people wore these to raves.
I don't remember that.
Because it would, and maybe they still do. I mean, there's still ravers out there nowadays. So let me know. I think that it was to keep, because you're sweating so much because you're dancing and it's hot and you're sweating, and this would give you a little sugar boost like it does when you're running.
Are we putting these on or are we just trying these?
Put them on your ankle, Katie. Let's go. Oh my God. I don't know.
I'm not putting it on my ankle. Don't worry. I'm just going to put it on my wrist.
Okay.
Because I don't want to put it over my hair.
Smell it.
Okay. Do I have to? Ugh.
Oh, it smells so bad.
Horrible. Okay. What color are you going to do?
I don't know.
I'm going to do pink. Oh, wait. I just did pink and yellow. Okay. I'm going to do blue. I'm going to do blue.
How do you even do this?
I think you go like this.
Bite it.
Yeah. You just
no, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Guys, apparently I do candy necklaces and bracelets completely wrong.
I'm going to actually put mine on. No, that's wrong.
Okay, put it on.
Okay, I'm going to. Our heads are too big.
It's like a tiara.
It's not going to work.
All right, we got to do it on our wrists.
All right. Okay. This is ridiculous. If this episode actually makes it to air.
Oh, no.
Oh. The sound you hear is Katie broke her candy necklace.
I tried to do a double loop bracelet. Okay.
Oh my God, what a mess.
All right, let me just eat one and then while you talk about the next one, I can clean up.
I haven't tasted mine yet.
I know, let's do it. I just mean when we get to that point.
Oh my God. I swear this is the silliest. All right, let me see. I'm going to try the orange.
Try not to choke.
I'm literally like a squirrel, gnawing. Look at because you have to suck on it. It doesn't just bite off.
Good that mine broke. I just have a handful now.
I can't.
Actually, it doesn't taste bad.
I'm no. I can't do it.
Oh my God.
I can't do it. I can't. I'm trying to nibble it off my wrist.
Here.
If it was Katie's handing me one that she wrecked on the floor. Okay, all right.
Again, I cleaned my floor.
Oh, sorry. That was right in the microphone.
That was Jenny eating candy necklace bead.
It tastes like Smarties.
That's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
I think it tastes pretty good, actually.
Which, again, I am not a fruity candy person. I can live without that in my life.
Okay. That's all I have on candy. the mysterious candy necklace. What's the point of having a podcast if you can't fangirl a little bit? Check out some of our introspection on celebrity culture on our Britney Spears episode. I split this into 3 topic areas, and again, it will talk about Britney, but we'll talk about some other celebrities and events as well as we go through. The first one I really wanted to talk about that I've been thinking about so much, and not just with Britney, with other people, since the whole Free Britney scenario from a few years ago when all the fans were trying to get her released from her conservatorship from her father. And I don't know if the fans were successful, but her lawyers were successful. It's this idea of the abuse of fame. And if you've heard the phrase, you probably know where I'm going with this. But if not, it's just this idea that celebrities or well-known people are commodities to us, and that we are able to access them at will and speak about them however we want, and that in a way they deserve it or they asked for it because they're in the public eye, which is pretty messed up.
Yeah, I agree.
So I often think about this too when I think about Princess Diana, and we're going to cover her in another episode. If you're listening to this in 2025, that episode is probably live, so go find it. But this hunger to see more of her and the capitalism behind that, because with Diana, she was the first person that a paparazzi got $1 million for a photo of.
Right.
So then it sets off this domino effect of, wow, I can make all this money taking pictures of these people in their private moments when they're chasing them in a car, and literally led to her dying, being killed. Now, Brittany is still with us. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
But she's had some close calls.
Oh my gosh.
And I would say she's not in the clear.
No.
By any means. That's multifaceted, but has to do a lot with the access that everyone, family, fans, internet, which we're going to talk about now.
If you love hearing amateur performers sing TV theme songs and old 90s tunes, you'll love these next 2 clips of us doing just that. If you know this, you're going to get it quick.
Okay.
If you've never watched the show, it's going to be blank stare, which is what my husband did.
Okay.
All right. And it's got lots of sound effects. I'm going to be whistling.
Oh.
Okay.
Jeez. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Oh, no.
I have to giggle. I'm not the best whistler, so hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All the fans know this. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
What is happening?
This is great seeing her face. If you're a fan, you know what I just did.
You're already like screaming it. Okay, what is it?
X-Files.
Oh, X-Files. Okay.
Now, there's only 2 people to guess on that show.
Right. So it's Mulder.
Yes.
And Scully.
Correct.
David Duchovny.
Uh-huh.
And I can see her face, but I can't think of her name. What is her name?
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson.
Okay. So this one, were you an X-Files fan?
No.
Okay. I knew that.
I'm just aware of it, like cultural references.
Yes.
I know who they are, but.
So it aired September 1993 to May 2002.
Wow. Okay.
I did watch X-Files. Now I was not like a dedicated diehard fan. Like I know some of y'all out there like big old like Mueller Scully peeps, and that's great. This was one I was like, I want to go back and rewatch.
A little bit different. Mine, now we're in the 90s.
Okay.
And we're going to finish the lyrics to this one. So I'll sing it. And then when I stop, it's when you
Keep
fill
going.
in.
All right.
And then we'll see if you even know the artist and all that. Excuse me. Here we go. La 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 la. Me. Okay. Wake up the dawn and ask her why. A dreamer dreams she never dies. Wipe that tear away now from your eye. Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball.
Where were you while we were getting high?
Yes! Ding, 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 ding. And who is this and what
That's
are we?
Oasis.
Oasis. Do you remember the name of the song?
Someday you will find me. Got a landslide. Champagne supernova in the sky.
That's it. Champagne Supernova by Oasis.
Oh, nice.
So the infamous Oasis song, the original title was actually Wishing Stone, which
Lame.
is pretty lame compared to Champagne Supernova. The song was written by Noel Gallagher, who has said he's in the group. It's about an imaginary friend who's going to come and save you from yourself.
AKA champagne.
If you know Dani, you know she loves a good cartoon. And if you know me, you know I'm a bit skeptical. Listen in as Danny tries to get me on board with the snorks in part 1 of our Saturday morning cartoons episodes.
Snorks.
Okay. Let me click.
Okay. I am going to play the song and then I'll explain to you what snorks was about and what they are. And now I can't find my links to my
I'm watching on mute. So she's pulling up the music.
I'm pulling up the music.
Opening.
Yeah. So ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here it comes, guys. Okay. All right.
Wow.
So you can see the picture. Did you say
I'm watching it too. So
all right. So for those of you out there listening who have never heard of this cartoon, I'm going to explain to you what it is. So the snorks, some of the stuff I typed is like an official description, which is hilarious. So here's one. The snorks are a race of small, colorful, anthropomorphic sea creatures that live in the undersea world of Snorkland. They have snorkels on their heads, which are used to propel them swiftly through the water. They also play music, and when they're excited, it makes a snork sound out of their snorkel.
What?
Okay.
Are we just going to pretend that snork is a word?
Yeah.
Is it just like, we're just going to insert
That's what
this?
they are. Yes.
Okay.
Because of the snorkels on their heads. So they're the snorks. So the snorks actually in Snorkland underwater, they have much of the same technology as contemporary humans. Okay. Like adapted to their own like aquatic environment. So they use clams as money. They wear clothes.
I saw that.
Yeah. You know, so it's kind of like they adopted a lot of the human things. Y'all, we love to snack. In fact, I have some right here as we're recording, which is why we just had to follow up our Kandy episode with one on Xennial snacks. Tongue tattoo, anyone? The funny thing is, let's see. Well, you can pick out whatever flavor you want. But the funny thing is, Katie, what does it say it has with it? Fruit roll-ups with...
tongue tattoos.
Yeah, so that became like a big thing of marketing too, where you could like lick the fruit roll up and put a tattoo on your tongue. Cooper actually just told us that kids at school still do that, but they lick them and stick them on their arms. So that's disgusting and something elementary kids are gross about. Here you go.
Yes.
So the flavors you can pick from are blue raspberry, strawberry blast, or tropical tie-dye.
What'd you take?
I just grabbed one.
No, okay.
Oh, I have blue raspberry.
I'm just gonna grab one too. And I have something else. I don't know.
Okay, so we shall try and do these tongue tattoos. Is there directions? Like, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It says choose it, stick it, show it. Okay, so I guess we just stick it.
Okay.
That is so funny. I need a shirt that says that.
Stick it, show it. Oh my God, please don't wear that.
No, I'm just kidding. I would never wear that. Actually, I would, but
you
it's
literally just, oh boy.
This is, you got the tie-dye one.
I did, accidentally.
Oh boy. Oh my God.
I literally pull it off of here?
Well, you have to... Yeah. So you know how I'm going to show you the way I used to eat this as a kid. This is so, but I'm going to do my tongue tattoo first.
Okay.
I think you just go like this. Ready?
Literally. Oh, I took it off the cellophane. Well, let's see what happens.
All right.
Should be okay. Huh.
Did it work?
Am I?
No, all I see is blue bar.
I did mine wrong, you guys.
Did mine work?
Yeah, do it again.
You can let me see. Well, I licked it now.
Oh, yeah, I could see it.
Did you know what it was?
It was blue something. But it was a shape.
It was a peace symbol.
Okay, it was a shape. Let me try again.
So yeah, you just imprint your tongue on the thing. While she's doing that, I'm going to tell you about the way I used to eat these. It's so gross and such like a weird kid thing. I was a weird kid, guys.
That's all right. I mean, it is.
I mean, I'm a weird grown up, so it checks.
No, I was going to say, you turned out great.
To
all you weird kids out there.
My mom used to always say
Stay weird.
My mom used to always say weird people make life more interesting. So You
she
know,
would say that to you.
well, she's weird too. So our whole family's weird.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I don't know what's
All right.
going
Katie
on.
is making a mess. I don't know what.
I'm just going to try. I'm just going for it. Here we go.
All right. Here we go. Tongue tattoos are funny. Is it a penguin? What is it?
It's a flower. A penguin.
I was like, that's a weird choice for a fruit roll-up
But
tattoo.
then, like, this one's like off the side. And that
Oh,
one's there,
yeah.
So I kind of don't have any other.
Okay, well, I can see why that's fun. Okay, so those were like
That was
really
fun.
popular in the late 80s, early 90s, the fruit roll-up tongue tattoos, which I guess are now a thing.
They're back.
The thing about fruit roll-ups is there's no non-messy way to eat them.
True.
You get sticky no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
This is how me and my friends in elementary school used to eat these.
Okay, I'm going to describe, unless you're describing.
You ready? It's so stupid. This is how we used to do it. I'm not actually going to eat this the way I used to. I'm just going to show you. Okay.
So she's wrapping it around her index finger
And then
and pressing on it so it's like sticking to her finger like a tube or like a really long fingernail.
So this is so gross. So we would we would make these like giant long pointy finger things where we would take it and roll it over our pointer finger. And then it almost looks like a big like witch finger. You remember those
It
witch
does,
fingers? And then we just eat it. I'm not going to actually do this because it's actually disgusting. We would eat it from our finger and then we'd just lick it and eat it off of our finger. Elementary kids, man, they're gross.
Innovative, though, I will say.
Okay, so maybe
Like
it was
you
just
said.
me and my friends. So I am going to eat the tip of the finger.
Okay. You do that. Just the tip.
I don't love fruit roll-ups. Did you just say just the tip?
I didn't know if you heard me. She's like, wait a second. What's better than a fresh new notebook, pens, and Lisa Frank stickers? Putting them all in your Trapper Keeper. Listen in to this iconic moment from our throwback school supplies episode. And little pro tip, if you haven't listened to that one yet, you have to listen to the whole thing because at the end, we sniff markers.
So, and I have to say his whole name. So when
You do.
E. Bryant Crutchfield, he began regionally test marketing the Trapper Keeper in 1978. So what he did was he thought it would be useful to insert a little feedback card into each one. Okay. So I think he did this in the Midwest somewhere. Kids who purchased a Trapper Keeper received a slip that promised them a free binder if they mailed in their comments. So approximately 1,500 cards were returned, okay? And under the question, why did you purchase the Trapper Keeper rather than another type of binder?
Oh my God.
Here's
These are
what
gonna be
respondents said things, okay? These are direct quotes. And this was an interview that he actually did with a company. He did pass away a few years ago, but
great. Aw.
and so this is he kept these, and this is what some of the responses were. So kids said things like, I heard it was good. My girlfriend had one. My mother got it by mistake, but I'd seen it on TV, so I decided to keep it.
Isn't that just like
Okay.
a whole statement?
Okay. Instead of taking the whole thing, you can take only one part home. Okay. Functional. There we go. Because they keep your papers where they belong. They're really great. Everybody has one. But Crutchfield's favorite comment came from a 14-year-old named Fred, and he kept the paper, right?
Wow.
Fred wrote that he had bought the Trapper Keeper rather than another binder to keep all my shit, like papers and notes. I love this kid.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah.
Right?
Papers,
Because that's why
notes.
you got a Trapper Keeper, is to keep all your shit and it doesn't fly out all over the place,
Yep,
right?
Exactly.
Even if you aren't rewatching the whole first season of Dawson's Creek like us, there are some things about the show that are just universal. So check out our guest Carlos' first thoughts on the teen classic. So we've talked about how I use smiley faces and frowny faces to rank things. Katie uses hearts and red X's. Carlos, what did you use?
I use fire and ice.
I love this so
That's
much.
so good. That's so good. I feel like what an episode to bring that in.
It is.
Too. It's the perfect one.
Okay, so what we generally do is start happy and then go to the shit. So
Yep.
that's what.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we'll start happy. So what was your first fire?
My first fire is good-looking cast. Everyone in the show is hot. Everyone.
It's true.
Literal. And Dawson's
Was the dad in the show?
Dawson's
Oh.
dad wasn't in this one. The plot line there was they went away for couples therapy.
Oh, that's
so
right.
neither of his parents are there in this
You
episode.
need to look him up.
But Pacey's brother, is that the
Oh, the
name?
cop.
Brother. Yeah. he's
Dougie.
good looking.
I was like, I put here, hot brother cop is gay. With a hot emoji.
So
That's funny. We are huge Princess Diana fans around here, so it was so special having Amanda Hornberger as our first guest to talk about her stunning portrayal of the princess in the regional premiere of Diana the Musical. Here's a clip of Amanda talking to us about why that role was so important to her.
Based on then the research that you did and reading the book, and just probably people you've spoken to since taking on this role and people talking to you about it, what do you think are some things people get wrong about Diana? And I'd love to hear from you too, Danny, after that, since you said you had to revisit your own thoughts on maybe things that you thought weren't actually the true case.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Amanda?
I feel like I have a few things on like kind of opposing ends of the spectrum. So I'll start with people think that she was a saint.
Mm-hmm.
She was not. She was a hot mess express.
as most humans
Which
are.
is why we love her,
Right.
though. Like,
Because
to
she's
me,
relatable.
That makes her better. Like, that makes her more relatable, more amazing for the fact that just like the rest of us, she was messy. Just like the rest of us, when she was in love, she did things she regretted later.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but she literally pushed her stepmother down a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Like she did some stuff that was not great, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, they made up later.
Oh,
They made up
well.
later. But like she was a person just like everybody else. And I think sometimes people elevate her to a level that isn't fair. And people do that a lot with people who are that level of famous.
Mhm.
And that's part of the problem. That is part of what kills these people is you think that they are not a person and therefore you don't have to treat them like they're a person.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that deifying someone is just as harmful as like abusing them
Yeah.
in some ways. So I think that's what people get wrong is they want to elevate her above the level of humanness that she's due.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I think there are also people who will fling mud or make up stories that aren't true when you really look into them. One of the biggest that I found actually was like her relationship with James Hewitt.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful relationship. And people treated him terribly, still do.
Mm-hmm.
They were together for 5 years in a very beautiful relationship.
Wow.
I mean, he was even going to meet up with her, had talked to her on the phone like shortly before she passed.
Wow.
Like they had a beautiful connection, friendship, romance. And I feel like that whole chapter of her life has been really reduced
Mm-hmm.
to drama and scandal. And when you really hear what happened between them,
Mhm.
you root for them. At least I did. Like,
yeah.
and so I think it's kind of nice to know that she had that type of love at one
Mhm.
point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually the whole media circus of their relationship surfacing that separated them.
Big thanks to my husband, Troy, for coming on the show to be our second guest and to school us in Nintendo lore. Katie really loved what he had to say about finding the best games when he was a kid. And she had a very wrong guess about an iconic video game character's name. So be sure to check out this 2-part episode on Nintendo and hear some clips from both of them.
What would make you buy one game or another? What would be the final determiner?
Well, it's weird. You know, you kind of learn as you go along, but if there was a game that was published by Nintendo, I usually knew that it was like a banger because that's what all the good games were. Stay with me. So that was one criteria. The other thing
That really got her going. She's
all
crying.
right, let's go with it. The other thing is the box art. On the back of the box, there'd be like screen captures and stuff, so you could kind of look and read about it and be like, I can imagine this being really cool or whatever. Then we have to talk about Nintendo Power. A little bit of trivia on The Legend of Zelda. This first one is easy. I know that you know this.
So I won't answer.
Okay.
What is the main character's name?
It's not Zelda?
No.
Oh.
That's the princess.
Oh, that's who they're trying to save.
Right. That's why I asked it, because it's kind of a common...
I literally was just reading the back of that too, and it was probably on there. Did it start with a T?
No, it starts with an L.
I don't know. Lyle.
Is it Lyle? Is Lyle trying to save Zelda?
Who is it? Help.
Go ahead, Danny. You know.
Link.
Yeah.
Link.
L-I-N-C.
I was going to say, is it
No.
L-I-N-C?
No, it's not.
L-I-N-K.
Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. I thought it was L-I-N-C.
Nope.
All
I
these
thought that
years.
too.
Yeah.
Shame on me, and I'm laughing at you for saying Lyle.
Okay, so that was the easy
Lyle
question.
with a C. That's what I was trying to say. Where were you when Power Rangers debuted? Our guest Carlos explains the first episode of the classic show.
I'm going to give you the origin story of the first episode.
Okay, yay.
Yay.
That
I love
way
me
we
a
all
word.
know how it all started
Okay.
here in America. So, two astronauts decide to go to the moon, and they find a moon dumpster. They called it a dumpster. It does not look like a dumpster.
Like a dumpster on the moon?
It looks like this little canister, but they called it a dumpster.
Okay,
I don't,
all right.
I don't understand
Moon
it.
trash can dumpster. Got it?
For real. And in that dumpster were the villains. The main villain being Rita Repulsa.
I was waiting. I remember her.
Do we love Rita? We are a Rita stan.
Rita
We
Repulsa.
love
That's amazing.
Rita Repulsa.
So she was in a trash can on the moon.
She was in a trash can. on the moon.
Amazing already. Why have I not watched the show more? I don't know.
This is completely up Danny's alley, but
Katie's like, and I'll pass still.
were there snorks in the trash can?
There were not snorks, so you have nothing to worry about.
That's right. The snorks were under the sea.
They were
Not in the
not
moon
on the moon.
trash.
Yeah.
Silly me.
All right. So Rita in the trash.
Comes out. She's been released after 1,000 years.
Whoa.
10,000 years. I'm sorry.
Ooh, child, you better get it right.
Hold on.
Katie's going to text you later.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth. 10,000.
Okay.
I had to replay the
the
theme
scene.
song in my
So
head.
she's been in this trash can for 10,000 years.
10,000 years.
So she's pissed.
Yes. So she's very upset. And so now the alarms go off. Alarms go off. Zordon is now, oh no, what's going on? And Alpha says it's Rita. She's been released. So now Zordon has to call upon 5 teenagers with attitude.
Okay.
All right. 5 teenagers with attitude.
Because they will save the world.
Yes.
All the time.
So then it goes into the scene of the teenagers in a youth center. Have you guys ever had a youth center?
Yeah.
Is that like
Like a YMCA, right?
Ish. Yeah. Like they had weights and things,
Yeah.
but they also had like just one balance beam
Yeah,
for Kimberly to show off her skills,
lone balance
It's like a lone balance beam.
And do all your trading here.
Right. So they had a youth center. They were all in there doing their thing, Some of
Together?
them, yeah.
Okay.
Well, some of them were like paired off,
Okay.
like Zach and Jason were the martial artists. So they were
Got it.
practicing. Kimberly was doing her thing on
Her
the
beam,
balance
okay.
beam. Trini was doing her little whoosah thing, martial arts
Okay.
thing. And, so it goes into that scene. Then all of a sudden, there's an earthquake. It's Rita. She has finally made it to Earth or near Earth. And then Zordon just beams them to their command center.
Okay.
Okay.
This is wild.
Yeah. They call it teleporting. They
I love
teleport to their command center. Then Zordon explains to them why they're there. They don't believe it. Obviously, they're teenagers and they're like, yeah, whatever, you know. So he gives them all of their stuff, like, this is who you are. This is the Zord you're going to be commanding. When you need them, call upon the power, and yada, yada, yada. So they don't believe him. They walk away and leave the command center. Well, you know, after all that's happening, they're still talking like, well, he could have at least teleported us back into town. So now they have to walk all the way back. And Rita sees them and then sends out her putty patrol.
I love the name of this.
Yes. The Putty Patrol. They are literally made of clay. They're made of putty.
Shush. Okay, now Google again.
I know. I just Googled Rita
Yes.
Repulsa because I couldn't remember what she looked
Oh,
like.
I do.
Oh,
But now I
she's
see her.
iconic.
I know. I do
She
remember
kind
her.
of, the one picture I'm looking at, and I know it's not her, but like she kind of is giving Kristen Chenoweth in Descendants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see
Yes.
it.
Just that
one picture.
Yeah.
I see it. Okay, so they're made of clay. All right.
Yeah, so they're made of clay or putty, and they're made into this machine that turns them into animate objects. They are now sent to Earth to fight these Rangers and destroy them before things get completely out of hand for Rita.
Okay.
Because she's trying to conquer Earth.
Okay.
Yes. So they fight the Rangers. The Rangers don't win. And so now they're like, well, Zordon gave us these powers to use. Let's use them. And then they have their first morph in the first episode. Yep.
So cool.
Very, very first morph. Then they go into town where Goldar, who is Rita's henchman, is now waiting for them to battle.
Because are you even an evil person if you don't have a henchman?
Right.
I mean,
or several.
Or a putty patrol.
Or a putty
or
patrol.
weird stormtroopers made of clay.
Right. So then Goldar is there waiting to fight them. They fight. Then Rita takes her magic wand, throws it down to Earth, and that's how she makes them grow. And she uses the line, "Magic wand, make my monster grow."
I was hoping you would do voices.
I can't do the voice like Barbara Goodson, who is the voice of Rita
Okay.
Repulsa.
Gotcha.
I cannot do her voice very well, but I did attempt.
I think that was pretty damn good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So obviously the Rangers triumph. They win. They go back to the command center. Then everything is all hunky dory, and then you get the Power Rangers from
All right, there you go.
Okay, so basically after that happens, when they go back to the command center, are they now like a different vibe? Because they left like, oh, this is weird. Blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
But now are they like, yes, we shall.
Yeah, crazy stuff's going down now. So guess we better do this.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, some of them were kind of like, well, we were chosen, so we should do it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But after they did win and everything had happened, they were like, you know what? We can do this.
I love
And
it.
we shall.
And we shall.
shall.
For
Yeah.
a very, very, very long time.
But of course, to throw a little 90s wrench in it.
Yeah.
At the very end, and I love this scene because it's Kimberly. And she goes, so everyone's like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. And Kimberly's like, I don't know, you guys. My hair gets all tangled up in the helmets. I can't do this. And they go, no, come on. And she goes, not.
Think about your favorite celebrity. Now, imagine giving them a gift in person. Our guest Jen did just that with her superstar obsession, Reba McEntire, and it paid off. Check it out.
Reba had a fan club, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and you know, all you had to do was, and I don't even think you had to pay. So
No,
it
you
was
just wrote a letter or
free. You
something,
just
yeah?
like, you had to fill something out and mail it in because
Yeah.
you know we didn't have like the internet back then, right?
No.
But once you joined, you got a quarterly newsletter mailed to you in the
Fun.
mail, which had like all of her like, you know, news and what's happening and pictures and all of this stuff, right? And we'll actually get back to these newsletters in a little while because I'll have another story about what that led
pen
to.
pal?
The pen
Oh,
pal.
can't wait.
Yeah. So anyway, we would get these newsletters, and also as part of the fan club, if you had tickets to a concert, you could sign up once a year to go backstage for a meet and greet with
Crazy.
Reba, right?
Can you imagine? That does not happen no more.
Yeah, well,
that's
she
wild.
ended up, and I don't know exactly what year, but she did end up stopping it because it got to the point where there were so many people backstage.
Sure.
Like, you couldn't even have it backstage anymore. Like, they literally would have it in the concert venue because there were so many people there. And it ended up being like, you know, there were just hundreds and hundreds, if not a few thousand people. And like, she'd sit up there and, you know, she'd take a few questions and that was about it. But when it first started, like when I first started going backstage, they were pretty small. This one probably had maybe 100 people backstage or so.
That's small.
It pretty small when you consider
think about it. Yeah.
So anyway, so the letter was from April. So I know I went to see her in March and her birthday is in March.
Okay.
So, and of course, being this super fan that I was, I would watch every interview I could ever find. We'll have to remind me to tell you about my Reba room and all of the stuff I have.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, so in these interviews, she would talk about, someone had asked her one time, like, you know, do you collect anything? And she had said, well, I really like centerpiece bowls for my table.
Which is so 90s and 80s.
Right? Yeah.
I like bowls to put things on my table.
Yeah. And on top of that, she also owned a thoroughbred farm. So now we're also going to go back to some nostalgia of the Hallmark store, right?
Yes.
So here I am
Have
as my
them,
little...
But that used to be like the fancy place where you go to get fancy presents.
Yes. So here I am as my little 16-year-old self in the fancy Hallmark store looking for a present for Reba, right? That I'm going to bring to the meet and greet because it's her birthday when I go see the concert.
Can you please help me, cashier at Hallmark store?
So I end up finding this centerpiece bowl that has thoroughbred horses on it. And I'm like, oh, yep, that's it. I don't even know. I spent all my money on this damn bowl, which God knows that it probably ended up God knows
and then you
where.
carried this bowl to
I
the
did.
concert?
I wrapped it. I carried it with me with a birthday card.
The whole concert. You
Whole
held the
9 yards.
bowl.
Yeah.
I love this.
Went backstage after, raised my little hand, told Reba that I had a birthday present for her. I brought it up, of course, the big burly security guard steps forward and is like, "I'll take that," right?
Yeah.
But he opened it with her kind of like from a safe distance,
Which
right?
still never happened today.
Yeah, never. But you know, she thanked me for it, said it was amazing, blah blah. Of course, I had included a birthday card, which of course in case Reba ever wants to reach out to me because we're going to be BFFs, I put my address in there,
Sure,
right?
why wouldn't you?
Right, exactly. So about, I don't know, a week and a half later, I am checking the mail at my house. And now the first thing I saw, I remember, the first thing I saw when I pulled this out of the mailbox was the back of the envelope, which this particular thing, and it just says Reba, and it has a Nashville address on it, P.O. Box, right? That was the same symbol you would see on fan club related material, right?
Okay,
yes.
okay, gotcha.
So like when you got
her logo.
It was her logo. Yeah, basically, right? So I saw that and I'm like, oh, I got something from the fan club. And then I turned it over. And there's like, so I'm trying to describe it for you. There is like a drawn picture of Reba on horseback with a cowboy hat on, and she's like throwing a lasso, and the lasso is like where you can write the address for where you're sending this, and it's handwritten, my name and address, right? And I'm like, what in God's creation is this, right? So I tell you, I pull this out of my little 16-year-old self pulls this out of my mailbox, and my heart is beating so fast. My hands are sweating. I'm like shaking. I'm like, what is this, right? So I open it up, and it is her own personal stationery. And so on the front of it is, now she's off the horse, and she's like sitting on a rock writing her little letter, right? So, but you open it up, and it says, and it's dated April 10th, 1994, right? Dear Jenifer, exclamation point. And she even spelled my name right with one N, right?
That's really
Says,
something.
Thank you so much for the beautiful dish. I love it. I hope you enjoy the new CD and the book, because at that time, I believe it was the It's Your Call album that was coming out, and her autobiography, Reba My Story. And it says, love, Reba McEntire.
Wow.
So
All handwritten.
Why is 80s and 90s nostalgia so strong? Our guests Patrick and Deena of Shiznit explain why younger folks, like them, gravitate toward this time period.
Well, I think for me, the anchor of the vibes for the 80s and 90s would have to be nostalgia. Because when you think about it, I personally don't feel like the 80s truly ended, in 89. It bleeds into the next, decade.
The early 90s go with
Plus,
it. Yeah.
we're raised by, 80s people.
Yeah.
So why not have that, nostalgia tied to it for me? So it's super nostalgic to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was a cool outfit, Mom, that you wore. Oh my gosh, I remember like at my party, looking back on birthday pictures, videos, whatever the case is. I'm like, she killed it. Shout out, Mom.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. There's something very powerful about nostalgia, and when you become an adult and you have adult money now,
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I did want that toy when I was younger.
Yes.
I can have that right now.
Right now.
I can choose to fill, because we have a game room. It started out as just video games, but it has slowly turned into an end-all be-all of just all 80s, 90s, 2000s stuff.
It's like a museum.
Yeah,
Kind of, yeah.
It kind of
Very
is.
much is.
And
that's
awesome.
We did bring a couple of things from that. We will be showing, telling.
Yay!
I cannot wait.
I can't wait for that.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, it's just cooler. It's got such a big vibe. I mean, I'm just staring at your bag.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It has so much personality. So I
It
think that's why I
did.
like
It was very saturated.
I and I think too, even though you weren't part of our generation, you're able to look back on the things that we look back on it with fondness and be like, man, I wish I had that. We didn't have cell phones until we were almost grown adults. They weren't even a thing. The internet, I remember the first time we had dial up. I used it and I used to type papers on a typewriter.
Yeah.
And I think that we were the last people who did that. We really were.
We really were. Yeah.
And so I think maybe even though y'all weren't there, you can appreciate. I think it's almost this is really going to age me.
Uh-oh.
Is when we looked back on our parents' generation, this, the hip, 69,
Hippies
70s
and stuff. Yeah.
We were like, man, that they were the last people for that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know my parents still tell stories of when they would hitchhike everywhere.
Oh yeah, same. My dad
in the early
yeah.
70s, all across the country and just whatever. And no, I don't want to go out and hitchhike. I think that's a terrible idea.
For hitchhiking.
I value my personal safety, but
Correct.
But it is that idea of just
That you could.
wow, you were young adults and you weren't oh, I got to go to college, I got to whatever. You were just let's just see where the road takes us, And again, it's not I really actually want to go do that or that I did want to do that as a young adult.
Yeah.
But the things they did there, I can have a nostalgia for that even though I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And appreciate it and want to know more about it. So anyway.
I also love that the two of you love the aesthetic from the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
Because as you can see, looking around our little space
studio,
here, well,
yeah.
especially me, I never left the 80s. I just stayed there. I mean, my bag, my hair, my nail, everything. And you guys appreciate it. Patrick and Deena, let me just tell y'all. And you've met them a few times now. Do they not always look so hip and
always
fun?
look great. Always great and thoughtful. I feel I'm not a thoughtful
Oh my God. They are
dresser.
Yes. But it's effortless. They just put stuff on and y'all look so cute.
Thoughtful but not pretentious.
Yes.
That's the difference. It's not
But for anybody who's listening that knows Patrick and Deena in real life, they're gonna be like, yes, absolutely.
So 100%. Yeah, so right now, Deena has on a really cool Sailor Moon shirt.
It's so
we'll
cute.
have
little
pictures.
crop top,
but it's a tie-dye effect too. But then it's got the earrings
so
that
cute.
dangle with the star and the bunny and the banana and the glasses. And we've got a gecko God. Hawaii that Patrick's
colors.
wearing and some jean shorts and a space age.
It's geometric
90s
print.
Geometric.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it on his Apple Watch or smartwatch. So it's just
I mean,
and
look at their glasses.
Pictures.
How cute are they?
Their glasses are so cute. I feel I couldn't get my contacts in, so I just
keep going.
Can we come back?
So just come on our podcast for us to talk to you about how wonderful you are.
Wonderful you are.
But it is important to say that because you guys don't just appreciate, you live it. You live it. You have rooms in your house, that's your business. They do have Unfortunately, we have to have like full-time real people jobs. Like, So hopefully one day your hobby can become your passion can become your job.
Agreed.
Which is what Katie has 1,500 jobs, so she can do that.
So eventually, hopefully, just the ones I like. So maybe 8 of them,
Right?
I can do
cut 'em in
instead of
half.
15 or whatever. That's my goal.
But you do like you are a walking advertisement for fun vintage things.
100%.
Like literally.
And I think too, like that draws people. I noticed this at 90s Fest.
Yes.
There were a lot of people set up, and some of them were really great. Some of them were like, and some of them just like didn't seem to have a passion for what they had out there.
It was just stuff.
Like it was just like stuff. And it's like maybe it was cool stuff. Maybe you buy something, maybe you wouldn't. But you guys, it was like a whole vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing where your booth is now, it's that way too. So when you come in, it's not just like, let's look at the stuff and this is cool stuff, but it's like, I want to be part of this situation.
We definitely like took the extra thought in preparing our booth because you walk around an antique mall, it's just white pegboard.
Yes.
And
Which is fine. We love our neighbors.
Yeah, we're like, let's paint it yellow and purple right now.
Love.
Work on it, and it stands out. You can't
wait. Love it.
Because when we were painting, it was like the day that people can come in and just restock.
Yeah.
You know, customers around, and they would all stop and they'd be like, "That's a loud color," and we're like,
We're like, that's the point.
Yeah. Like
You're like,
hello.
thank you for noticing. Yeah, I love it.
I love that
That's
so
right.
much. Power Rangers cannot be contained to just one episode, y'all. That's why we invited another expert to the show. Here, Alexey explains the intense appeal of the Power Rangers.
This Power Rangers that we know here about the teenagers with attitude in Japan was the season of Super Sentai that
Right.
Yeah, so Power Rangers, which is a really cool segue, has its basis in what's called tokusatsu. And tokusatsu is where pretty much everything started in like 1903 to 1933.
Okay.
It's called it's a live action show that relies heavily on effects. That's what tokusatsu usually means.
Okay, and that's in Japan.
Yes, and so it's an umbrella that spawned Super Sentai, which is a team of heroes that fight monsters
Right,
and
that's
bad
what
guys.
Carlos touched on.
There's Kamen Rider, the lone hero who's the strongest, who does the thing. Spider-Man was actually a tokusatsu character at one point. Yeah, Japan loves Spider-Man so much they gave him a show, and he had his own Megazord at one point. It was it's really cool. So tokusatsu started all this. And then Saban sees the show, goes, oh, I really, really, Carlos touched on this. I really think this would be a hit. And it was. And Saban had access because we actually found out that he developed a lot of music for these kids shows, right? Like the Go-Go Gadget.
Oh yeah, Carlos did say that. Mm-hmm. He did. Yeah, he's like, y'all will love this piece of trivia, which we did because I love Inspector Gadget.
I do too.
And so that is super neat.
So because of that, he saw the show. And what's really funny is another circle back I had to touch base on is in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. What's really fun is you can see that they didn't get all the props for the show. So if we're shooting the American thing, if you're watching the Green Ranger, watch his shield. The golden thing on his chest, the shield, watch it. You can tell when it's American footage and Japanese footage simply because the location they're in, because the buildings are Japanese, but also watch it because in America, they couldn't get the shield. So it's this flimsy, like aluminum with like Velcro straps thing. Oh my God. And then when he's fighting, it's this like hard metal gold thing. And you're just like,
wait. So it's like DIY.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like cosplay. It's like a bad cosplay.
Well, listeners, it has been so much fun going back in the time machine with you on this episode and truly on every other episode we create. We just so appreciate you for listening and being so amazing and wonderful. So be sure to share us with your friends of all generations. And if they need a little sneak peek of what we do on this show, give them this episode. It's a great one. So until next time, bye-bye.